When I walk through a cemetery, I leave the present behind. The world outside moves on, but here, time feels different. To understand these places, I have to shift my mind, to let go of now and step into then. I slow my breath, I read the names, and I try to see the world as they did. And if I let myself, if I truly listen, I can almost feel it. I can almost close my eyes and picture it. The voices, the footsteps, the weight of history all around me. And just for a moment, I'm there. At the dawn of the 20th century, America was rapidly evolving. Cities were expanding, industry was booming, and technology was transforming daily life. Ragtime music was rising in popularity, capturing the energy and optimism of the new century. One such piece, Swipesy Cakewalk by Scott Joplin and Arthur Marshall, became emblematic of the era, an upbeat yet nostalgic tune that reflected both progress but also a longing for the past. Despite these advancements, there was a deep awareness that an important generation was slipping away. The veterans of the Civil War were aging, and their numbers were dwindling. Communities across the country recognized that if they didn't act soon, the living memories of the war could be lost. It was in this atmosphere of change and remembrance that towns like Mason sought to preserve their history with lasting memorials. While the specific details of Mason's process aren't fully documented, it's likely it followed a pattern seen in many other towns that sought to honor fallen soldiers with a Civil War memorial. Raising the money was another challenge, but they were determined. They likely organized bake sales, hosted raffles, and put on community fairs. Women's groups, like the Ladies' Memorial Associations, played a major role likely, while veterans in the Grand Army of the Republic, the GAR, worked tirelessly to gather donations. Every penny counted, and the whole town came together to make it happen. After raising enough funds, the people of Mason turned to the Monumental Bronze Company of Bridgeport, Connecticut, a well-known producer of Civil War memorials. The company specialized in cast zinc, which they called white bronze, a material they praised for its durability and resistance to weathering. Unlike traditional stone, they said these monuments would not crack or erode over time, making them a practical yet dignified choice. The Monumental Bronze Company made the process simple for small towns like Mason. The company marketed their products heavily, using catalogs, newspaper advertisements, and traveling salesmen who visited towns to present models and engravings of potential designs. They promoted their work as patriotic and a duty to future generations, ensuring that even small towns like Mason could afford a professionally crafted monument. With each order, customers could personalize inscriptions and designs, choosing from a variety of styles ranging from grand obelisks to solemn statues of soldiers like Mason chose. The company's approach democratized memorialization, allowing communities across the nation to participate in the post-war effort to commemorate the past sweeping the country in the early 1900s. And Mason's committee selected the Sentinel, a solemn yet noble figure of a soldier at parade rest. The cost of such a statue varied depending on the size, with a standard model standing 6 feet tall and priced around $450, while a larger version could go up to $750. For a town like Mason, This was a significant investment, but one they saw as essential for honoring their fallen soldiers. Once the order was placed, the monument was cast in zinc and shipped to Mason, where it arrived in time for the planned dedication ceremony. The town gathered at Union Cemetery, proud of what they had accomplished. Their hard work had resulted in a lasting tribute, one that still stands today, a testament to their commitment to remembrance and history. The details of that day are a little sketchy. There's no official record of exactly how it all unfolded, but I imagine it was like the ceremonies happening all over the country at the time. Small towns, big cities, everywhere. People gathered to remember those who had fought in the Civil War, to make sure their sacrifices weren't forgotten. People in towns like Mason, Illinois, have always felt a deep need to remember. It had been nearly 40 years since the Civil War ended, but those who lived through it hadn't forgotten, and they didn't want their children, or their children's children, to forget either. So, on July 4th, 1903, the people of Mason gathered at the Union Cemetery. Picture it. I can see flags waving, families dressed in their Sunday best, veterans standing tall despite their age. They were here for something important, to dedicate a new memorial to the soldiers who had fought and fallen. Across the country, small towns and big cities alike were raising monuments, holding ceremonies, and sharing stories about the war. People feared that as time passed, the memories of their struggles and sacrifices might fade, and they weren't going to let that happen. I can almost imagine a local historian there putting it all into perspective. These men fought for what they believed in, whether for Union or Confederacy. Their courage and sacrifice shaped the nation we know today. It is our duty to ensure these stories live on. This monument is more than stone. It is a testament to our shared history. Then I can imagine the moment everyone had been waiting for. A large sheet pulled away, and the new memorial stood in full view. Applause rang out. Some people wept. Others might have placed flowers at the base. This was more than just an event. It was a promise to never forget. And it just wasn't Mason. Across America, from small cemeteries to Arlington National Cemetery, similar gatherings were taking place at that time. These memorials, some simple, some grand, became symbols of unity, of reflection, of a country that had once been divided but was now trying to heal. I can imagine as the sun set over Mason Union Cemetery that evening, a bugler playing taps, people lingering for a while, then quietly making their way home, leaving behind wreaths and flowers. The monument stood firm, as it does still today, a reminder that history is not just something we read about, it's something we carry with us. And that's the story of Mason's Civil War Memorial, a moment in time, a piece of history, and a lesson for us all.